The Wall Street Journal breaking the news that an IRS supervisor is seeking whistleblower protections, suggesting they have information regarding the Biden administration improperly handling the criminal investigation into Hunter Biden. NBC News tonight obtaining the letter sent to Congress saying that the IRS supervisor is ready to disclose information, and this is the important part here, quote, that would contradict sworn testimony to Congress by a senior political appointee. Number two, involve failure to mitigate clear conflicts of interest in the ultimate disposition of the case. And three, detail examples of preferential treatment and politics improperly infecting decisions and protocols. Hunter Biden most recently seen overseas on President Biden's trip across Ireland, where he met with multiple world leaders and learned more about his family's heritage. Joining us tonight to talk about this, one of the reporters from the Wall Street Journal that broke this story, Sadie Gurman. Sadie, thanks so much for joining Top Story tonight. I guess, people are going to be hearing about this first tonight here on Top Story and seeing it on NBCnews.com and your website, of course. Can you tell us more about what we know about this potential whistleblower?
So this person is an IRS, criminal tax supervisor investigations. We don't know much about the person's identity from the letter that was sent to Congress, but we do know that this person is seeking whistleblower protections to allege preferential treatment and politics playing a role in the Hunter Biden investigation. And that's significant because the Attorney General has said time and time again that he has left this investigation in the hands of an independent U.S. attorney in Delaware, David Weiss, and has given him all of the resources he needs to do his job. This person who is seeking whistleblower status suggests that he has evidence that that's not true. And so that could potentially upend certain elements of the investigation if it plays out in a public way.
There have been so many allegations that have been leveled against Hunter Biden, many involving that he was using the Biden name to cash in overseas on all types of foreign deals. What exactly is the IRS part of this investigation as we know it?
Well, basically, what we know is that the FBI for months has believed it has enough evidence to bring a tax case against Hunter Biden, as well as a gun charge. That's a result of many different investigations that have been taking place since 2018 into Hunter Biden's business dealings. So the IRS would have been involved in that investigation pretty deeply. We do also know that prosecutors have been going back and forth with defense attorneys for some time and have put witnesses in front of the grand jury who could speak to any sort of mitigating evidence that might complicate a case, such as Hunter Biden's well-documented history with addiction and drug abuse, things that might make their case a little more complicated, a little weaker. So we know that this has been an ongoing saga for about 5 years now.
Sadie, talk to us about this whistleblower status, right? Because what we're talking about here is somebody that it sounds like is involved in this investigation and has seen something that is improper. Why are they asking Congress for the whistleblower status instead of, quote unquote, running it up the chain of command?
Well, according to the letter, this person has taken their allegations to at least two inspector generals with the Justice Department and the IRS. We don't know the status of those investigations or when exactly the allegations were reported to them. So now they're taking it a step further and asking Congress to protect them from any sort of retaliation that might come as a result of reporting these allegations in a public way to the congressional committees that investigate these matters and have oversight over these law enforcement agencies. And so this person is saying, basically, if I come out and share this with you, you have to, ensure that I am not, fired or punished in some other way.
What could these implications mean if these allegations indeed are correct? What could we be talking about here?
Well, I think at the very least, it opens the door for defense attorneys to argue that, no matter how the case plays out, there was some impropriety here. It also provides ammunition for critics of the Attorney General and the Biden administration. Republicans have long been saying that the Justice Department is mishandling this case out of favoritism toward the Bidens. And so this feeds right into that narrative, even if, these allegations don't necessarily bear out. And that remains to be seen.
And do we know if the Biden administration, as the White House commented tonight, and or Hunter Biden?
No, none of them have commented. We have a pretty thick paragraph in our story of no comments or declined to comments or deferred to comments. But we know that Hunter Biden has repeatedly insisted, that he has not done anything wrong on these matters. And the president has been, has stood up for his son and, has a very well documented history of addiction and alcohol abuse over this time period. So, his story is well on the record.
And then Sadie, finally, if this person is granted whistleblower status, what type of timeline before the public will hear from this person?
Well, the public, may not hear from this person. What they're providing is, information to Congress, and it's up to the congressional committees, I think, what they want to do with that. This is just the first step in what could be a protracted process. Yeah, judging from what's happened with congressional committees lately, it sounds like I'm pretty certain the public will get a taste of what this whistleblower has to say. Sadie Gurman, we appreciate your reporting tonight, and thanks for joining Top Story.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.